Hi, so the video I'm gonna make today is gonna be about an interview with a he's actually a stand-up comedian and a TV host called I think it's Kamau Bell, and he's interviewing the white supremacist Richard Spencer. So just to give you a bit of background about Richard Spencer is a white supremacist who's been described by the Southern Poverty Law Center as a leading academic racist. And he has described, he has called for a peaceful ethnic cleansing, peaceful. And he also, after a speech that he made recently, there were Nazi salutes. And at a party following that speech, he said, "Let's party like it's 1933," which was clearly a reference to a Nazi reference. And also regarding the person who interviews him, Kamau Bell, as I said before, he's a stand-up comedian, and he also is a television host, and he was basically interviewing Spencer for a CNN series on race. And he's African American, so Kamau Bell is African American interviewing a white supremacist. Okay, so my main issue is that Bell does not challenge Spencer when he's interviewing him, and I think that is a prerequisite for an interview with a white supremacist. If you must interview a white supremacist, you really need to ask tough questions, and I don't think that Bell does that. He asks the kind of things, it was really a rather silly interview. I mean, for example, one thing that came up was that Spencer did not like the idea of having a black James Bond, and Kamau Bell says something like, "Really? Would it really be such a big deal to you? I mean, come on. Of course it's going to be a big deal to a white supremacist to have a black James Bond. I mean, why waste the interview on such a stupid, trivial question?" Instead of asking tough questions like, one, for example, a good question he could have asked was, how would you go about a peaceful ethnic cleansing? Another thing he could have asked was, you say you're not racist, but you have Nazi salutes after your speech. You engage in Nazi terminology. Explain that. No, he doesn't do that. Another thing that bugs me is that Bell is so friendly with Spencer. Spencer is a white supremacist. He wants to engage in ethnic cleansing, and yet Bell is so overly nice with him, and he's just basically laughed throughout the interview, laughed at all Spencer's jokes. And, I find it also distasteful that he's laughing. It's a very serious subject matter. He's interviewing someone who is a neo-Nazi, and he's laughing the whole way through it. And I also wanted to point out that I feel that he basically let Spencer, Bell was very, very passive in his interview. He let Spencer take over the interview. Bell does not interrupt Spencer enough, that, in a way that is typical in interviews where the interviewer has control. No, he lets the interviewee take over. And just overall, I just feel the interview was very disappointing and very frustrating. At the end of the day, it's very disrespectful to people who are, it's very disrespectful to the victims of genocide and racism to not ask tough questions to Spencer. It is very irresponsible to not ask tough questions, because not everyone is just going to understand, without the points really being driven hard, that this is an evil ideology. And then finally, I just want to say that I think as a minority, interviewing Spencer, I feel that it's especially pathetic that you would not critique him. I think any minority that interviews Spencer or any white supremacist and you do not critique the person, it's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic. So yeah, I'd be interested to see if anyone else, felt the same way, or you didn't feel the same way. Thanks for listening, and bye.